Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the JACKOCAR Kia Series. It is round 6 of the championship here tonight. We were at Silverstone last week, and we returned to Silverstone again this week for the short version of this track. So we've got essentially a 100% race ahead of us. It's going to be hopefully really exciting. I'm very interested to see what happens, and I'm joined, as always, by Austin. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Very excited for this track. It is the shortest track on the calendar, certainly, and it is an interesting one. It is, I think, the only track that is, it definitely is the only track that is exactly 1 kilometer longer than it is in miles. So 2.639 in kilometers, 1.639, same numbers after the comma in miles. So it is a very, very short track, barely over 2.5 kilometers. And because it is so short, it's going to be 52 laps around here, which is the normal race distance around the long circuit, which obviously is quite a bit longer. I mean, we're talking the normal Silverstone track is around 5.8 kilometers long. So this is less than half here. Quite significantly less than half, almost 5.9 actually, the full layout. So we're cutting out more than half of the track, and we're doing double the laps, but ultimately we're still doing less distance than we do on the normal Silverstone circuit. Let me just quickly calculate it through, actually. We're going to have in kilometers 137.2, which is a slightly longer race in distance than Monaco, by about 7 kilometers. But I can assure you it will be a lot faster than Monaco.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's such a different sort of track to what we got with Monaco. And it's probably going to be quite a quiet start to qualifying, I'm going to imagine, because if I'm right in saying, I believe Connor and Vitinho are lined up to be the first 2 drivers out on track, and they both have qualifying bags.
Yeah, indeed. We're gonna be in for a bit of a quiet one here at the start. Although we do see someone go out. The thing is, even the drivers with qualifying bans, needs to be said just to make sure, are allowed to leave the pit lane to log in their setup. So it's one thing that sometimes it happens, is a little bit of a... Sometimes it can be a glitch in the game where you're... and Connor is out on track. Where sometimes you don't leave the pit lane, you retire in the pit lane, and what ultimately happens is that you can't then choose your setup in the race, or your setup glitches in the race to the standard setup. There are all these different things, and so Connor decides to go out here. Not that he's allowed to set a lap time. Will he? Nope, see, there you go. He comes straight back into the pit lane, an installation lap, and that's that. He's not allowed to do more. And back into the pit lane he goes. That's how quick this lap is, by the way. In case you were wondering, it really goes by fast. I mean, we're taking the shortcut, if you will, at the loop. That is turn 3. We're not taking... Oh, sorry, turn 4, apologies. We're not taking turn 4, the loop, full. We're taking a fast left-hander there. A flat-out left-hander. And then turn 5 is the right-hander that leads us... It's basically almost Chapel, if you will. Well, it's right before Chapel. But Chapel doesn't exist as a corner on here. Leads us onto the Hanger Straight, and from there it's familiar territory through Stowe, Vale, Club, and into the start-finish line. We're going to be on board with Vitinho, who does the same thing right now. One installation up. Here we are, familiar territory, turn 3. Through the loop, kind of, but you see here, flat out, and then turn 5, right-hander. And the drivers can take a lot of liberties there on exit with the track limits and still not invalidate. And then this is now the Hanger Straight into Stowe. Very, very iconic corner here. And Vale and Club and Vitinho, of course, does not take Vale and Club here in qualifying. He also goes into the pit lane. But the first one now out on track is Gazaman. He is actually allowed to run a full-on lap. And we need to mention a couple things since we saw Vitinho. We were commentating last time, and it was Vitinho who on track won. However, he did get a penalty ultimately. And as such, it was Yuri, Speed Y Racer, who earned the victory after Vitinho forgot to serve his qualifying ban and was subsequently disqualified from the race last time out here at Britain. So, yeah, we have 5 drivers now qualified for the playoffs. 5 more to be determined. 3 can get it through wins. And 2 drivers have to qualify through points. I think the biggest chance here to not make it through wins, but still make it through, lies with Jack G, who is going on to mediums as it seems. But we're looking at Gaza right now. Lap almost over. We're 35 seconds into the lap and it's almost done. As he comes into Vale and then Club. The lap time's incredibly short. We're talking 45 seconds. As he comes across the line. In fact, 44.481. So that's the first benchmark here set by Gazaman. And we don't even have anyone else out on track. There's the next car coming out. That is Mackie. That's, is he the next one under, like, is he supposed to be the next one? Let me see. I think he is. I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, no, he's not. Hold on. Who was Rick, who was... Yeah, no, Mackie is Matt Tree. Who is Rick Menzies again? Is that... No, that's not Waze. Waze is... Waze Kuba. Who is Rick Menzies again? Isn't that Franagamu? Is he the Franagamu?
I don't think he's here. We are one short. So
we are one short, yeah. Yeah, Bill is going out now, so we are one short, so Mackie is the next one. I'm a bit surprised there, but... never mind. From this point onwards, we will see everyone in order, hopefully. Hopefully they don't mess up. Also, to be mentioned, with 52 laps in the race, we're going to have the 2 stages, obviously at lap 13 and lap 26. And here we have Mackie. Oh, and Mackie spins off into the wall. He's out.
Wow. Dramatic circumstances. That's his qualifying over, and... Wow, that was a massive snap on the rear end of the car. Just after he got past Sector 1, I'm hesitant to call it Sector 1 because so far the 2 Sector 1 times have been under 10 seconds.
Yeah, Sector 1 is ending. I mean, it was Sector 2 where he got the oversteer there. Sector 2 ends on the Hangar Straight here where Bill is right now as we are looking at his car. Sector 3 starts on the Hangar Straight and then goes all the way to the line. Sector 1 ends before turn 3. Quite a weird one, that.
Bill's coming around the final few corners now, then he's 44.4 to beat, and he does beat it on another 44.4.
Just about.
Due to the short nature of his track, I suspect we're going to see those sort of gaps quite a lot over this session. Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if ultimately pole position is decided by a few hundredths of a second, as we see Jacko here finally ditching that, what was it called? What do you call that? Marker? The little neon colored, I would call it the marker car. Finally ditched that. Very much patriotic there. With basically a driving UK flag for Jacko as he is now heading into the final sector. Final sector, by far the longest sector and the one with the most corners, I would say. Then again, it's got about 4, so that's not a lot. It's basically an oval race. This is about as close as an oval race as we're ever gonna get on the F1 game, and it is ultimately P3 for Jacko. As Jess is now on for a lap. She's already in the middle sector, ending the middle sector here. So, yeah, it really goes quick. It really goes by quickly here. Final sector, about 20 seconds in terms of time. The first 2 add up to 25, so you have sort of a natural progression of 10, 15, and 20 through the sectors. But, yeah, Jess coming around the final corner here. I think that's going to be a 45. Yeah, 45.6 for Jess. Not sure if she's going to be happy with that. Right now, P4. But, I mean, anything can happen in this race, needs to be said. Also, just to quickly mention, Jess is one of the Joker drivers. The other two are Connor, who, remember, he already retired because he was not allowed to set a time in qualifying. And the third one is Mr. John. We will see him at around the 8-minute mark, as right now Newgarden is getting ready. So the fourth next driver will be Mr. John. We're going to have Danskar in between. We're going to have Waze next. Then we're going to have Niels and then Mr. John. And then, of course, still more drivers to come. But those are the next few. So Newgarden on his way. Let's see, middle sector 23.8. That's looking good so far. It's showing purple, but it's always showing purple. So can't really go by that. Can't really look at that and go, hey, it's purple, so he's the fastest. Not necessarily. But he still might be. He still might be as he comes through the final corner. Oh, a little bit of a snap there, but yeah, that's not the fastest lap. P3 ultimately for Newgarden. And now we're looking at Danska, who's already through the first sector. It's going so quickly here. I can barely let you get a word in edgeways. I'm sorry.
That's alright. I mean, one thing I noticed early on, which is certainly a positive thing, is that Connor wasn't lagging all over the place, which is nice to see.
Yes.
So hopefully that stays the same. Danskar's already crewing around the final couple of corners, such as the ridiculous nature of this track, and he was looking pretty good for the first sector. Nearly loses it around the final corner, and as a result, only goes fifth in the 45s. I think he might be a bit disappointed with the end of that lap.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, someone who's going to be more disappointed is Waze. He has invalidated around this short lap. Bit surprising. Don't see that very often around here. Especially not in the first two sectors. But yeah, he's done that. He's done exactly that. And he will start just in front of Connor and Vitinho and behind everyone else. Possibly. There's still 3 drivers behind them that still have to set a lap time. If they mess up, they will start from the very back. So we gotta say, Waze for now in P17 that would be. But if Baza, Jack G, or Yuri mess up, then he could jump at least 3 positions up. It's not much, but it's something.
Well, like you said, it's quite a surprise, really, that Waze invalidated, because one beauty of the short version of this track, I would argue, is it kind of removes a lot of the corners where you would usually invalidate around Silverstone.
Yeah, Cops is gone. Maggots, Beckett's Chapel are gone. It's really surprising. Turn 1 is the one we saw. As Niels goes provisional pole position here, 44.3, just a 10th quicker than Bill. But yeah, like you look at like where drivers are able to invalidate, you don't find that many spots, certainly not in the first 2 sectors. You look in the final sector, of course, you find Stowe, which is one of the main spots to do it. But other than that, I think the spots are few and far between. I mean, you only have 8 corners around here. As Mr. John goes only P8, I'm pretty sure he must have made a massive mistake earlier in the lap. That's not generally what we've come to expect from Mr. John here, as Moza is taking it very slow on the outlap.
Someone's a fan of a Williams 2021 livery.
Yeah, yeah, obviously. That's very, very clearly. I mean, the question is, what existed first? That livery or the Williams livery? I think this one existed first. I think Williams took a hint or two from the game, not the other way around.
I think Mr. John, I was watching his lap on board, I think he sort of backed off coming into the final section. So was that a tactical move maybe? Of course, we know he's one of those using the jokers, so maybe he figured starting at the back is the best way to utilize that joker. Maybe that's what he's going for. We'll have to wait and see though.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 3 drivers on the joker, and right now they're P7, P8, and P15. And 8 drivers have set a lap time. So Connor is going to fall down to about P18. as we look at Mozza here, and then the next one will be Baza, who's already on a lap. In fact, he's already in the final sector as well, so these two are going to be close to each other here. As Mozza goes P4, we're quickly going to switch over to Baza to see what he can do. Mozza beating Newgarden by about half a tenth here. Baza now across the line. Is that provisional pole? No, it's not. 44-7 as well. Right in between Mozza and Newgarden. We just talked about them, and Baza splits them up right away.
I'm interested to see how MK Bourne's lap goes here, because I think he's had a few qualifying difficulties in recent races, so this is going to be interesting to see how he hooks up this one attempt that he's got. It's a 9.9 first sector, which means so little because it's such a short sector. It's kind of around the benchmark of what we're expecting, but yeah, MK Bourne could do with hooking a lap up here. Oh no, he's invalidated!
Yeah, we're in just too wide. Just too wide onto the hangar straight, and that is his lap over. Good news for him is there's at least 4 cars that are going to start behind him no matter what. But yeah, he's had a few invalidations so far this season already, and he adds to the tally. I think if there's one thing he might want to work on going forward, there's only 2 races left after this one in the regular season before we head to the playoffs. And considering that MK Bourne is one of the drivers already qualified for the playoffs, I think he really needs to work on that. He really needs to work on that if he wants to have a chance at winning the title.
And of course, next week is Singapore, and that's probably a track where you really can't afford to mess up qualifying.
Yeah, certainly not. One of the hardest tracks to overtake on the whole calendar. I mean, obviously Monaco being the one that beats it, but other than that, it's about the second hardest track then. And certainly a challenge, and you want a good qualifying there. Here, it doesn't matter so much as Yuri, a race winner from last week, goes provisional pole, beats Niels by 34 thousandths of a second. And now we get to the sharp end, really. We have Jack G, the best driver in the standings, who hasn't qualified for the playoffs yet, and he goes P5, 44.5. Next up will be AC Mats now, and then we only have one more, and that will be Splinter. AC Mats about to start his lap in... Honestly, I like how he matched the colors. I have to say it. I'm sorry, I have to say it.
It's quite a striking livery, I have to say. He's done a very nice job with it, and hopefully... Massive slide already in turn 1, and that will cost him, yeah, you can see already he's over 10 seconds for the first sector. So, very big moment there, and not what he needed starting onto the lap as he now goes back onto the hangar straight. And we'll see how this lap's developed through the middle sector, but I can't help feeling that moment's really going to cost him when he comes across the line.
Yeah, I think he'll still be at least in the top 9, so ahead of Jacko, and then maybe battling with Newgarden, Baza, and Mozza. Maybe just ahead of them, but I think the top 5 are almost gone at this point. Maybe he proves me wrong. He actually does. P3, so a well-recovered lap here from AC Mats, considering the massive slide he had to turn 1. Yeah, I think he did well for himself considering the circumstances here, but ultimately P3, and certainly a starting spot on the second row, because we only have one more driver to come in very similar colors. Less green, but apart from that, it looks very similar with the orange. Oh, Splinter almost losing the car there, warming up the tires. That is one of the difficulties here that we need to talk about, I feel like. With such a short lap, it's difficult to get the tires up to temperature.
And that's maybe what cost Easty Mats when he went through Abbey there. He just lost the rear end of a car. The tyres just a little bit too cold. Splinter's definitely got the heat into the tyres, nearly spun in the process, mind you. But he's on the way on his lap and looks pretty neat and tidy so far. But I have to say, fair play to Easty Mats recovering that lap, because for all the world, it looked like he was going to be outside the top 5 after that early moment. But recovered it to P3, very nicely done. Splinter's second sector time, I've got to admit, isn't that spectacular.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the first driver with a 44.6. It is incredibly close. I mean, we have the top 10 within, what, 6/10 and a bit. But we don't have a time with a 44.6, and I absolutely called that. Oh, I'm proud of myself for that one. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. 44.606. I mean, I was very close to calling that dead on. Let's be honest. But it is P7, I think it was ultimately for him. Yes, indeed, P7, and it is Yuri, a race winner, qualifying on pole position, and it is an all Dutch row 1. When's the last time we had that? I don't think we ever had that in the Kia series. So very interesting to see on foreign soil, the Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman, if you will, take a front row lockout here over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 Brits.
That's a massive pain to swallow there for the home drivers. But I have to say, one driver who's really impressed me in qualifying, especially considering how early he went out on track, is Gazzaman to finish P5 when he was literally the first driver to do a lap. I think that's really good going, and he could be a big threat in the race. But Niels is another driver to note because he's just outside the playoff positions at the moment. So to pop it on the front row, this is a good opportunity for him to get inside those all-important playoff positions.
Yeah, exactly. As the drivers get ready right now for the race, 52 laps, stage points at 13 and 26. Once again, you should know the rules by now, but mandatory 2-stop for everyone except the drivers that have taken a joker tonight, which are, or who are, as mentioned before, Jess, Mr. John, and Connor. They only have to go for 1 stop. The drivers are allowed to pit under a virtual safety car. However, the drivers are not allowed to pit under a full safety car, with the exception of damage or a puncture. If they have any of those, they are, of course, allowed to go into the pit lane and count that as one of the mandatory stops. But in any other case, they are not allowed to pit under the safety car. Virtual safety car is fine, though.
This is going to be super intriguing to see how this develops. All 3 of the Joker drivers tonight are outside the top 10 on the grid, so how their race develops is going to be interesting. All 3 of the Joker drivers have opted to start on the medium compound tyres, which is a slightly interesting one. Tyre wear won't be a massive issue here, but it is, of course, important to mention for the Joker drivers that by saving a pit stop, they're essentially gaining half a lap on everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we talked about this last week. You lose about 25.5 seconds here from a pit stop, with the whole lap in qualifying being about 44 or 45 seconds long. And, of course, in the race a bit longer, we're talking probably 40, what, at the start of the race, 48, I think. Maybe 47. Probably 47, let's be honest here. With how the fastest were in the sort of 44.3 range, probably more like 47. It's more than half a lap that 1 pit stop costs you. And so if you have to pit twice, you really fall under the danger of being lapped. And we mentioned it before. Jack G has left the session. Jack G out for now. He is allowed to rejoin if he can, but that really hurts as the drivers get ready. The 5 lights are on, and we are underway for the Britain Short Grand Prix. 52 laps, and it's a good start from Yuri, who keeps the front here, keeps P1. Neil's right behind. A lot of sliding in the background, and a lot of drivers already switching positions. MK Born already gaining 4. My goodness, he's flying through the field already. Way's gaining 3. Bad qualifying for them, but they're making up for it right now already.
Yeah, superb start from Yuri. Exactly what he needed. He's already pulling out a bit of a gap. We've got side-by-side action further down as obviously Gaz is making his way past Jack. I'm not sure if he's managed to rejoin yet. It looks like... we've already got a pit stop.
Danska's off.
Oh, and Danscar's off in the background, so he's dropped to the back of the field. The only driver that's not using a Joker to start on mediums, and he's
Oh, and he's spinning again.
Absolute disaster for Danscar. He just, I'm assuming he just can't get the temperature in the tyres when he's rejoining back on track. But Yuri leads the way, already a second clear. Really great start for him. And I don't think he could have asked for anything more. And it's still the two Dutchmen leading the way on British soil.
Yeah, and they're pulling a gap on AC Mats as well. Bill, the leading Brit here, in P4. So even AC Mats, obviously from Estonia, in third. And then we have Bill in fourth, Gazaman in fifth. As we had a few drivers pitting already. Splinter, MK Born, Baza, and Danskar. And Baza with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's the one thing you really don't need in the longest pit lane, have an extra 5 seconds to wait.
No, definitely not. You're just losing more and more time, and it's going to be such an uphill battle from there on in. Two drivers I want to give a special mention to. Vitinho and Connor both had qualifying bans, but are already up to 10th and 11th respectively, so they've had flying starts.
Yeah, Vitinho even more so because he started behind Connor, is now ahead of him. As we see Waze here battling, well, he did battle with Vitinho and Jacko. Jacko not really gaining all too many positions, considering 4 drivers have already pitted. He only gained 1 since the start. And Jack G has lost 2 positions, but I think we need to say that is for 1, because now he pits as well. And for 2, because he was disconnected for the first lap and a half. So he wasn't in control of his car. Now he is, and Newgarden's out!
And we've got a safety car conditions.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Left side.
Oh no. It's what you mentioned.
Oh, straight on. Oh, wow. There he is. Something must have happened there. He just went straight on and before turn 1. That is quite a weird spot, but we have a first safety car. Again, as mentioned, drivers are only allowed to pit if they have front wing damage or a puncture, which I don't think anyone has right now. It's the more unlikely scenario. Or if they've already entered the pit lane entry before the safety car came out, then they are allowed to pit as well. Then they just got lucky. It's like, okay, well, fair enough. Good for you. But in any other scenario, they are not allowed to pit right now. The pit lane is closed for anyone else, as Niels is about to be picked up by the safety car that is waiting around the right-hand corner coming up. And yeah, Newgarden already out. And yeah, he's in the DMs right now, in the JACKOCAR Kia Series DM group, saying for F's sake. He's not happy, I think. I don't know what happened ultimately. I didn't see it. I don't think you did. Oh! Well, he just stated the reason in the DM group. He says his TV just went black screen for no reason. So a technical issue, if you will, that cost Newgarden I mean, sky was the limit for him in this race, I think. He was doing well. He was in the pack, didn't have damage, and now he's out. Very, very unfortunate here indeed. And with the technical issue, even more so.
Just wondering, as to Yuri, Yuri down in 13th. Did he make a pit stop?
No. What has happened there? What has happened there?
So he must have gone off. He was leading the race.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortably early stages, but he's dropped now to 13th place. So something's clearly gone off there. In amongst all the chaos, something we've missed. But Yuri has dropped way down the field, and well, I'm at a loss there as to what's happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. Very surprised to see that as well. And yeah, the indication here from the timing tower is that he did not make a pit stop. So I don't know what happened with Yuri, but yeah, he's down in 13th with no pit stop. If he had made a pit stop just before the safety car, or as soon as the safety car came out, it would have been an absolute stroke of genius. But now I think Jack G is the one who's best positioned here, because he's already made a stop. He's the net leader really at this point. Yeah, he's close to everyone else. He can make overtakes as soon as the safety car comes in, and he can gain some positions that way.
Going quickly back to Newgard and just looking at the standings, that's a bitter blow for him. He's currently 7 points outside the playoff positions. The last thing he could afford tonight was a DNF. He's going to need 2 big races in the next couple of weeks to try and force his way into the playoffs. He may need to get a race win.
Yeah, certainly. At this point, I think that might be the only thing that could save him. As the safety car is going to come in, that means Niels is now the leader of this race. I mean, he was the leader the whole time now, ever since Yuri dropped back. But he is the safety car at this point, and he decides when the drivers go. The safety car has entered the pit lane. At this point, he can go whenever he wants to. And there's drivers immediately entering the pit lane on the restart. Moza is one of them. There is also Yuri now pitting. Obviously, drivers weren't allowed to do it under the safety car. They are allowed to do it right after. And hope for another safety car, which we know how it goes in F1. Safety cars breed safety cars, so we might see another one shortly, but for now, they are back under green flag running.
Yeah, Niels again has had a really good restart, so the leader's really trying to get away in these early stages, and it looks like Gazzaman potentially might have a go past Bill here. Is he going to have a go into Stowe? He does a look up the inside, but decides to duck back underneath, but maybe trying to force Bill into a mistake almost, but they'll go defensive into the left-hander. It's a little bit surprising. That will compromise his exit, but nowhere for Gazzaman to go. But that is allowing the top 2 to gain a bit of an advantage on this restart.
Yeah, Gazzaman here very aggressive on the first lap after the restart, but so far nothing to show for. However, maybe on the hanger straight, I think he's probably served better to wait until the end of lap 9, the end of this lap, when the DRS is enabled again. Then he can really go for something, but right now, difficult to overtake.
Yeah, without question. He's got to be careful as well, Gazzaman, because his waist isn't too far behind him either, so he's got to be careful when mounting an attack, but he doesn't leave himself open to losing a place behind him. But he's looking pretty sharp on this restart at the moment. And what's happening here? Mackey's pitting. I was wondering why he was losing a couple of positions. He's in for his first pit stop. And yeah, he's of course not got a Joker tonight, so he's got another stop to make later on. But a lot of these soft tyre runners are already opting to switch tyres, and I wonder what some of these leading groups cars will do when it comes to strategy, because you've got probably quite an open opportunity here in terms of strategy with the nature of this race.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, considering how long the tires last around here, I mean, the tires last, what is it, around on a 100% race on the normal track, the tires last around, the softs, I should say, last around 26 laps, so half the race, really. And now you can do the calculation. Well, if they last around 26 laps on the full layout, it's the same tire compound, but we're doing half the race, or half the what's the word? Half the distance per lap, not even half the distance per lap, and we do the same amount of laps. I mean, the soft tires could probably go to the end. You wouldn't have to stop, and the soft tires could go to the end.
No, that's it. And they've got real opportunities here potentially to try undercuts, but essentially an undercut probably won't work as well here because of the lack of tyre wear. So really, I would guess if you're stuck behind somebody who you believe you're quicker than, and then pitting early is a good opportunity. But it's worth noting that Neil's out front. Not only is he starting to come under pressure from Easty Mats, he's also got a penalty, corner quitting penalty, which I'm a bit surprised actually, but we've had so many corner quitting penalties already because, like we've already mentioned, a lot of the corner cutting opportunities around this track have been cut out with the short layout. So a little bit surprising here, and that could come back to bite Niels later on.
Yeah, certainly. Getting a penalty, we've seen it time and time again, can lose you points or even the race. So Very, very important, very crucial here to not get a penalty, as we are nearing the end of stage 1. This is the final lap of stage 1. Whoever crosses the line first will get themselves 1 playoff point. And, of course, those playoff points will be crucial later on in the season when we head over to the playoffs.
No question about it. And Easty Matt's trying potentially to look at grabbing that point from Niels, but can't do it on this occasion. Niels actually coming into the pits. So, will that hand Easty Matts that point then?
I think so. We've seen it last time. If you take the way on track, unless you have a significant advantage in terms of gap, then it will hand the stage point to the guy behind, who was behind. And in this case, it did. Easty Mats gets the playoff point for stage 1. We have the next stage coming up, stage 2, at lap 26. So we have another 12 and a half laps to go from this point onwards. But Easty Mats getting himself his 10th playoff point so far. Yuri right now is on 7. He got 1 for the pole position, don't forget that. And here we go. Easty Mats, clever, took the stage point, then comes in. I think it's a very, very... And look at that. Everyone but Connor now coming in. Waze, Bill, they're all pitting. Connor, remember, one of the 3 drivers with the Joker here. And by the way, I think it needs to be mentioned as well. Connor also one of the drivers who haven't won a race yet. So they are not qualified yet to the playoffs. But if he wins this race tonight, he would book his ticket to the playoffs.
Oh, Mackie's out of the race. What's happened there?
That's on the main straight.
That's...
Oh, that's in the middle of the main straight. How in the world? Safety car. Safety car. Oh my goodness. How in the world does the car end up then? How in the world does it take that long for race control to call a safety car?
And that means it bunched the field back up.
That's what Connor didn't want. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I was literally about to say the same thing. Like, Connor really was looking in a strong position at this point, but bunching a field up is exactly what he doesn't need. So that is a big blow for him, and of course Jess and Mr. John as well, who are also running the one stop tonight. So that's a big blow for them, and that will bunch the field up. And yeah, not good at all for Connor, but he will try and build that lead back up. And it's also not good for the likes of Wace and Bill. Bill already has 3 penalties for corner cutting, which, I don't know, if he keeps going at that rate, he's going to be amounting real load of penalties come the end of the race, so he can't afford that. And Wace has got 8 seconds worth of penalties, which includes a pit lane speeding penalty.
Yeah, and I just want to say for all the viewers very quickly, we're not going to show the tire that the drivers are on very much, for the simple reason that the tires do not matter very much around this track. We're going to show the pit stops, we're going to show position changes, we're not going to show the tires for the simple reason that they basically do not matter around here. The tire wear is so little, and the tire wear is so little, the tires last that long, and the difference between the tires is so little as well, that it is much more important to read this race, to understand this race, and see who might be in a good position to see who stopped how many times. And right now, looking at it, there's obviously 2 cars, it seems, that are lapped. Those are Dan's car and Baza. But Baza's the only one who doesn't have to pit yet, who doesn't have to pit anymore. Everyone else will have to pit exactly once from this point onwards. So Connor, Mr. John, and Jess are the 3 drivers on the Joker race tonight. So they have to pit once more, as they haven't pitted at all. Everyone else has pitted once, and so they have to pit once more.
So I'm not too sure what were the reasons for Splinter, MK Born, and Jack G's pit stops, but I'm just thinking.
It was early.
if that's the case, then that's really Easty Mats and Niels are not in as strong a position as I thought they were in.
Yeah. They pitted before the first safety car, and then everyone else, Cloud Mozza, Easty Mads, Niels, etc., pitted after the first safety car before the second. So Splinter, MK Born, and Jack G, generally the way these races tend to work is I mean, the moment you got both pit stops out of the way, you're in the best position. However, ideally, you want to get your first pit stop done before the first safety car, which is why I fully understand why Splinter, MK Born, and Jack G went into the pits, I think, lap 1, as we got the message safety car coming in, so Connor now determines the pace of the field. And then you want your second pit stop, if you have to make a second pit stop, or generally your last pit stop, if you only have to make one, then your first and only, before the final safety car period. That is about the best situation, and here goes Connor to restart the race. Apologies, the race. 18 laps done, 34 left to go.
Yeah, and he once again got a very good getaway. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not sure what that's all about. I think that's...
Danskar letting cars lap him.
Okay, I mean, you don't have to do that, but Danskar choosing to do it on this occasion. Obviously probably doesn't want to get involved with the field.
Well, there are two reasons, I think. One, he doesn't want to get involved with anyone. He just wants to run his own race at his own pace, I think. But more importantly, I said something slightly inaccurate last time, so I need to correct myself here. If you do get a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags, that will not be removed. So even if you get it at the end of the race and you haven't served it in the pit lane, those 5-second penalties for ignoring blue flags are not removed. You are allowed to race cars that are not on the same lap as you, but again, if you get a penalty from the game, you don't get that removed.
Yuri's come in for his second pit stop just shortly after getting the penalty, so he's getting his second pit stop out of the way early on. And oh, he goes straight to the wall! That's Vitinho into the wall. He's lost his front wing. I'm a bit surprised he hasn't lost a wheel in all that, to be honest. There was contact, I think, between him and I think it was Waze, I want to say. Just going around the opening couple of corners. It's all bunching up around where Jess is. And yeah, Vitinho into the wall, and that's a big blow for him. Of course, he has already qualified, I believe, for the next stage, but I don't think he's going to be winning again tonight. And Jess is into the wall out the race.
And now, I'm going to tell you what, Yuri's pit stop might be a blessing in disguise. We have a third safety car, and Yuri's got his pit stops out of the way. And he's going to be able to catch up to everyone. Is he? Hold on. Yeah, he's just ahead of Connor. Look at that. He's on the same straight. But he's just ahead of Connor by about, what, 3-4 seconds? Oh, he got so lucky there. And he can now catch up to the field again. Do we have rain? It almost looked like rain there, but no, it was just a little bit of some particles there on the side of that car from Yuri. But yeah, he's done with his strategy. Yuri, now the net leader, if you will, once he catches up to the rest of the field. And Vitinho is lapped by the top two. Vitinho will not be able to unlap himself.
Huge. Yuri has absolutely either called that spot on or a little bit of luck involved in there as well, maybe. But he's got ahead of Connor, and that has allowed him. He has no more stops left to make, and he can now
Vitinho is actually unlapping himself.
Ah.
I'm not sure he's allowed to, but I mean, he's doing it, so. And he's been disqualified from the session for ignoring yellow flags. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to do that.
Yes, I'm not an expert in all the F1 rules, but something told me that he probably shouldn't be doing that. And the game has disqualified him, so that's Vitinho's race sadly over. And yeah, that was such an odd crash for Jess. I think someone went around the outside of her, around the second part of club, and just made the slightest bit of contact with Jess's front wheel, and that sent her into the wall, and that's brought about this third safety car period, which Yuri will be kind of thanking. I think that's happened because he's on the lead lap. He can rejoin the back of the pack, and he's in a good position right now. And,
for some reason, can I just? For some reason, Vitinho's car is still driving. Did you get the message that he's disqualified?
I was gonna say I got the message he's disqualified, but like you say, he's not like grayed out with DSQ next to his name. He's still going. So...
what is going on here? It also looks like he is in control of the car. It's not that, you know, it's the AI taking over. He's still driving it. What has happened there?
Yeah,
is that desync again?
I definitely didn't imagine the disqualified from session thing that came up.
Let me just tell you to all the viewers watching right now, we are as confused as you are. But apparently, Vitinho is still on the lead lap, as is Yuri, and Vitinho is not disqualified, despite the game telling us that he is. Yeah, it still says racing. And it says 2 penalties plus warning. One of the penalties was literally, let's just look in the race director, because this is gonna be hilarious. Where is it? Vitinho, 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane. No, it doesn't show the disqualification anymore. Huh? Okay, we have penalties though for Gaza, Bill, Niels, and Estimats. 5 seconds for each of them for making contact. Bill and Gaza with each other, and Estimats and Niels with each other. So they all got 5-second penalties, and they will have to serve them. At least Estimats and Niels have. And once again, we have people asking in the chat for tire life. The tires literally last that long that it doesn't matter. I know that it's sort of an instinct from all the people that are driving, that have been participating, that play the F1 game, to go, oh, let's show the tires. And they are important around most tracks, but this is pretty short. The tires literally last forever. It does not matter. Jess, unfortunately, now out as we are restarting the race, and Connor is leading the way, but I would say Yuri is about the net leader of the race. The question is whether he can remain, so we're going to look at him. He can't get himself any damage or anything, can't get involved in any incidents whatsoever. He needs to run this calm and smoothly until the end.
Blinter and Mr. John go into the pits as soon as the safety car comes in. Mr. John, of course, has made his one and only stop now, so he's going to run those soft tyres all the way to the end. And I'll tell you what, if there's another safety car period, that could work absolutely perfectly for him, because he doesn't have to stop again, and he can just go flat to the floor now, right all the way to the end.
Yeah, meanwhile, here's Yuri already. Oh, Yuri is desynced apparently. It shows him 1 lap down for some reason. That's not right at all. Here we go. That actually shows him correctly for some. Or is Gazaman decent? One of them seems to be decent because the interval time is not showing accurately for me anymore. I think it might actually be Gaza because his interval is not changing at all. So I think Gaza might be slightly desynced here. Hopefully it fixes itself on the line.
I was going to say, I don't know, because on my screen his interval's still changing on for me, so I don't know.
Okay, so it's just desync on my end then. Fair enough. Should fix itself once it comes across the line here. DRS now enabled again, as we have Connor getting the second stage point as lap 26 just ended. So Connor getting himself his fourth playoff point. And is he on his way to win this race? I'm not sure. Yuri still looking very strong here, and Connor still has to make 1 pit stop, but he can go on to softs. And if he's on fresh softs, as much as tire wear does not matter much, I think going on to fresh softs immediately over everyone else who, let's look just quickly, is on mediums or hards, I think that definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, waste on hard tires. I'm not too sure about that. I believe he would have started probably on. Well, did he start on medium? No, I believe he started on soft.
Oh, Mr. John? Oh, no, that's not Mr. John. That's Jacko. Jacko off there in Vale. Loses all those positions down to P12. He goes.
I don't know about you. I'm very confused as to why Waze has gone onto hard tires.
I don't understand it either.
I think he's going to lose a lot of pace because of that. As MK Bourne goes for the lead, on Connor down the inside into Stowe, and Connor, to be honest, didn't really fight it all that much. He's probably thinking of pitting, you know, I reckon it's not too distant future. He's got that stage point now, and he's just, so he probably wants to pit ideally, because, I mean, if there's another safety car in the next few laps and he hasn't pitted, it could cost him a lot more, so he probably needs to get in the pits as soon as possible, I would suggest.
Yeah, certainly. I think for some of the drivers, it should be happening. The pit stop should be happening rather shortly. Once again, as I said before, you want to pit before the last safety car. So all these drivers that haven't pitted for the second time, or the ones on the Joker that haven't pitted for the first time yet, they're hoping for another safety car, and they would have to go in before that to make sure that they can catch up and are on better tires and have a chance at gaining some positions later on. As I feel like it's getting a bit darker out there. I don't know about you, but the skies were a little bit grey to begin with, but it feels like they got a bit more grey. They got a bit darker. Might we see some rain later on?
That'd be why some of these guys up front are delaying their second pit stop slightly. Maybe expecting rain and just sort of trying to stay with it until the rain comes, and then that way, of course, they don't have to make another stop then for intermediate potentially.
Oh, never mind. Connor coming in.
Yep, jinxed that one, didn't I? Connor pits on the second place, and yeah, gets his one and only stop out of the way. Essentially, right now, arguably the top two are Yuri and Vitinho. Over, I mean, I don't know how on earth they're going to work out the situation with Vitinho after what we saw.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think, once again, it might be desync. It depends on ultimately what happens on his screen. I think he will be. So all the drivers are recording their footage, are recording their races, and he might be asked for some footage at the end of it to show what was going on there. But it certainly looked a bit weird from our perspective here as Connor rejoins in P11. He is now done, as is Mr. John right behind him. 2 places behind him, but about 1.5 seconds only. And Cloud Moza, so they're basically Connor in a net P6 right now. 2 seconds behind Splinter, but also 19 seconds behind Bill in net P4. The top 5 all still have to pit. And if we quickly look at the tires here, yeah, you see the softs for Connor and Moza, who both pitted same lap here. And they should be flying around this track now on these fresh softs.
And they've got Splinter just a couple of seconds up the road, who's on medium tyres, so it'll be interesting to see the rate they can close him down by, as Yuri moves up to 5th place past Gazaman and continues his charge through the field. I've got to say, things looking very strong for Yuri at the moment, and could he be the first 2-time race winner this season?
Potentially, yes. He's making a move on Gaza. We look at Connor here going on... oh, Moza going on Connor. That's not what I expected. Moza apparently with a bit more pace in that Williams-looking car than Connor, who is on the one stop. Yeah, generally I think the most interesting part of the JACKOCAR Kia series is how basically your Joker race doesn't even matter because there's a safety car every race anyway, at least one. And so it's all down to luck anyway. Well, not all down to luck. Obviously, pace matters. As we see here with Yuri, with Jack, with MK Bornesti, Mats, Gaza, Niels, Vitinho as well. But luck, obviously, to a degree, matters as well and plays into it. There's a reason we've had 5 winners in the first 5 races.
Yeah, you've really got to, you can drive a superb race, and if you just don't have the luck, you're not going to win. You need both a really good drive plus a bit of luck in there as well to help you along the way. Jack and Niels have made their second pit stop.
MK1 coming in.
MK1 coming in, of course. I keep forgetting the beauty about this track, as some drivers are just exiting the pits, others will be entering it. The beauty of this short track. So MK1 making his second stop. and Yuri now up to second place. And one thing that Mozza and Connor and potentially Mr. John have over the others is that they are the only 3 drivers with no penalties. So, which is, I'm still finding quite surprising, because I genuinely didn't think we were going to see that many penalties this evening.
Yeah, I think MK Born is also one without penalties. Indeed, he is. So we have 4 drivers, but he's in the pit lane, so it doesn't really show properly. But he has no penalties either. Everyone else does at least 3 seconds, and that would be Splinter, Jack G, and Danska. And it goes all the way up to 12 seconds for Bill, and 11 each for Baza and Jacko, who have a 5-second penalty that they don't have to serve anymore, so they will just get that added, slapped on. As Jacko is now actually, sorry for jinxing him, he's now actually at 14 seconds. And AC Mats and Waze are battling. If I can just get there. Nope, if I can get there. Yeah, okay, there you go. And he is serving a 5-second penalty here.
Yes.
So you saw him standing there, just nothing happening. So he's now penalty free as well. And everyone else has penalties. Even if they do pit at this point, they would still have penalties left. Gazelman Vitinho would still be on 3 seconds. In fact, Gazelman still has to pit, so he will be on 3 seconds after the pit stop.
He's pitting now.
There you go.
It was strange, actually, because he was looking down the inside of Yuri at Stowe, and then he sort of just didn't really commit to it, and I guess he just thought, well, I'm pitting anyway, so there's no real point in going up the inside of Yuri. So Gaza is the last driver to get his pit stop out of the way. Everyone's done their pit stops now, and you can just see what an impact those safety cars have had in the race, because you've now got this massive gap between Bill in 4th and what will be Mozza in 5th.
Yeah, and once again, I think penalties are going to be massively important. And we see Waze only 3 seconds. He might potentially, if he gets closer to Yuri, or if Yuri and Vitinho start battling, he might be on to win the race.
I'm going to tell you again what may cost Waze here, though, his decision to go on to hards.
Yeah, but it works out so far.
Yeah, it depends. How quick is he going to be later on? That's going to be the real test. Where's Gazaman? Gazaman's rejoined way down. And 13th place. Mozza's leading this sort of next group of cars. Splinter's holding off Connor, who I've got to say he's not had this pace since going on to the soft tires, and I imagined he would. Mozza's pulling away from him, and Connor struggling to get past Splinter.
Yeah, yellow flag sector 1 and 2. I think that is for Jacko, who is once again going a bit slow there. I could be mean right now and I could say something like, oh, we're used to that from him, but no, Jacko is hands down one of the best league owners and league admins that I've ever had the pleasure to work with, so I'm not going to be mean to him tonight. I've been mean to him plenty of times before, but it's all in good fun, so he doesn't take it too hard. And he gives, I can tell you from DMs, he gives back sometimes as well. He claps back at me too. So it's all just in good fun. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be too happy with this race. P15, a lap down. Then again, a lap doesn't mean much around this track. But yeah, it's not really gone the way he was hoping for, I think. But I hope at least that he's having some fun out there.
I just want to say this because this is absolutely ridiculous. But we've got a driver here in Vitinho who's about to battle for the race lead when it came up about 15 laps ago. He was disqualified.
Yeah, he's battling at least for the on-track race lead. It seems like Yuri is struggling on pace now, which is quite surprising considering his tires aren't that old. I mean, Vitinho is a 1 lap fresher, and he's struggling for pace. And Waze, in fact, has caught up almost a second. And he got a penalty. Waze! The one thing you were supposed to not do, you've committed right there. The one sin, the cardinal sin of F1 2020.
Contact between MK Born and Splinter through, I believe that was Abby. And MK Born has made his way past, but it wasn't without a bit of a wheel rub in between the pair of them. MK Born up to 7th. Mozza has collected a penalty, so that's also quite key for him with Connor so close behind him without.
And MK Born behind as well.
Yeah, that is crucial for Mozza picking up that penalty. And yeah, Waze, I feel like Waze has been in race-winning positions on a couple of occasions, but it just doesn't seem to work out, and that penalty could be key. Look at the amount of weaving Yuri was doing down the hangar straight there to keep Vitinho behind him. I don't know what's going to happen with Vitinho after this race, but right now he's trying to fight for what is the on-track lead.
Yeah, I think Yuri was just trying to break the slipstream. It didn't really work, but at the same time, Vitinho didn't get enough slipstream. So maybe it did kind of work to make an overtake. I don't think Vitinho really tried to make the overtake happen here. He just wants to try and drive away with Yuri and make the move maybe around, I would think, lap 44, 45, maybe 46. He knows he's got the pace, I think. And so he's saying, you know what? If I can just make the overtake late enough. Here he goes now on overtake. Around the outside at Stone. No. Yuri keeps the position. And Vitinho is running low on ERS at this point. So he needs to be a little bit more careful and needs to make sure that he picks the right spot at the right time.
MK Bourne's got a penalty now as well. Ah, dear.
Yeah. Connor and Easymads, the last of the Mohicans, if you will, the last two that have no penalty yet. And let's hope it stays that way for at least one of them. I would love to see sort of the penalty unicorn emerge from this race. The one driver who does not get a penalty. If we get two, hey, we got two unicorns. That's even better, isn't it? So, I really would like to see that. Let's hope they stay penalty free. Could you imagine if we had everyone on penalties?
I don't know what was wrong with Connor about 5-10 laps ago, but he all of a sudden seems to have found his pace. And he's now going up the inside of Mozza into Stowe and gets the move done by the looks of it. Will Mozza try and fight back into Club? No, he does not. Connor went defensive to make sure there was no real way for Mozza to go back through. Connor gets the position on track, so not even just with penalties now, he's got the position on track. And he can try and make some headway into the cars in front. I mean, looking at the amount of penalties that Bill has, he will at the very least move up to 4th as it stands.
Yeah, 15 seconds there from Bill will definitely cost him at least one position, possibly more. Then again, it could be. With Mozza being 12 seconds behind, it could very well happen here that Mozza actually gets Bill in the final stages of the race on penalties. But we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. It's still around 8 laps left to go, but 8 very, very short laps. 8 laps here are around 6 minutes. So that's how quickly this will go. We're in the last 6 minutes of this race.
Gino going around the outside of Stowe again. Oh, what a move that is. I have to say, that's a stunning overtake. They were nearly close to rubbing wheels, making contact, but Vitinho made it around the outside of Stowe and takes the race lead. Yuri tried his best to break the toe, but Vitinho just had so much extra speed. And now that Yuri's playing chaser, will he be able to come back at Vitinho, or will Vitinho start to drive away?
Yeah, that is the main question here, really. Will there be some kind of answer from Yuri, or is that it? Vitinho trying to drive away here, using all the ERS he has available to him. Is that going to be enough to keep Yuri behind? Oh, Yuri has massive closing speed, goes for it, but decides against it and pulls out of that one right at the end. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if... I mean, Yuri, at this point, could just lean back, stay behind, and let Vitinho do the dirty work, if you will. Because Vitinho has 8 seconds of penalties, Yuri has 6. So, right now at least, Yuri would win on penalties still.
Yeah, and we still don't know yet if Vitinho, as a result, will even count come the end of things as well. So Yuri may bank on that as well. I don't know if he'll have actually seen what will happen to Vitinho on that one. He may not have done. Connor, we're seeing this really with Connor, that he got past Mozza, but he's not really able to break away. In fact, if anything, both Mozza and MK Bourne right there behind him, and Mozza and MK Bourne have the same amount of penalties, so that's very much a fight that could be decided on track.
Yeah, and I just quickly looked up what the 5-second penalty for Vitinho was for, and it was for speeding in the pit lane, so that one will definitely not be removed. The game generally, not just generally, if the game decides you were speeding in the pit lane, then you were speeding in the pit lane. Unless there was an extraordinary bug that I haven't seen before, then it's definitely the case that Vitinho will not get that penalty removed. But look at this, he's trying to escape 9/10 of a second now between Vitinho and Yuri. Vitinho has definitely distanced ways at this point. The question is, can he get away from Yuri? Can he get away enough in the final 4 laps of this race? 3 minutes and a bit to go.
Yeah, we've got... Oh, and look at this, Connor going defensive now against Mozza into Stowe. Mozza looking around the outside, but no way through on this occasion. Again, probably a little bit mindful of MK Bourne just behind him as well. So didn't want to commit to that too much. But Connor's... It's weird. Connor had no pace at the start of the stint. All of a sudden found excellent pace out of nowhere. And almost again just seems to be dropping off in pace again.
Yeah, meanwhile, Yuri is really close to Vitinho. Is going for the move into Stowe. Yuri wants that position back on track, but he's not risking it enough. He knows he doesn't have to risk it all because he still has the upper hand on penalties, so he doesn't need to try to get the position no matter what. He can just sit back and relax and enjoy the show, if you will. He doesn't have to go for the move no matter what.
Yeah, he's might be almost thinking, do you know what? I might just try and pressurize you into a mistake. Although having said that, Yuri's had a really shocking opening part of the lap. This occasion, he's dropped over a second behind, although he does still have a DRS, so he's obviously within a second of the activation point. Jack G is out of the race. Where's that?
That is exit of Stowe.
Yeah, so he's not like retired from the race or anything like that. He's just, well, not like he's opted to retire. He has actually crashed out there on the exit.
Well, I looked at it on the minimap. I think what happened was he spun somewhere to the exit, to the inside of Stowe. Apologies, somewhere to the inside of Stowe, and then it looked like he had enough and just rammed the car straight into the wall.
Ah.
So well, yeah, it look. I might be wrong, and if so, I would like for Jack to just correct me here. But it looked like he rage quit basically.
Well, he is comfortably, although he's not won a race, he is comfortably inside the points he needs in the playoffs. But that can easily change a couple of bad races. But I tell you what,
yeah,
Yuri's not got this win sign.
Oh, Vitinho's out!
Whoa! I can't believe it. Vitinho is
on the final lap.
Wow. Yuri probably can't believe what he's just seen. I was just about to say Vitinho might win this race.
There are 2 explanations for this.
Yeah.
One, Vitinho just lost it on the exit of club, into the wall and out. Honestly, my honest opinion, didn't look like it to me. Second explanation.
The DSQ's been applied.
No. Second explanation. Vitinho thought it was the last lap and miscounted as Yuri comes across the line and wins 2 in a row. The first driver to win 2 races this season. But to talk about my theory, what it looked like, Vitinho thought it was the final lap, put the car in the wall deliberately, and realized too late that it wasn't the final lap.
Wow.
That's what it looked like. No, I'm not wrong. Vitinho just put in the DM group, what did I just do?
I will count this as a second place.
The thing is, Vitinho could have won. He was 1.7 ahead of Yuri. If he gains 3/10 in the final lap, which would have been possible, he could have won the race.
And
wow.
I've literally lost for words. He could have gained that 2 seconds that he needed as well on that final lap. He was only 3 tenths away.
Yeah.
So, wow. I don't believe what's just happened. Vitinho, I mean...
Celebrating too early. And costing himself a win, potentially. I have never seen that before. I've seen, look, just last week, I have seen in another league, not here at JACKOCAR, I'm not going to name the league, but I've seen in another league, a last corner crash on the final race of the season as well. But this one I've never seen before. Last lap, leading the race. That crash that I've seen was for P8, P9 or something like that. It didn't matter ultimately. It was still weird. 3 cars involved, all out, final corner in Japan. Not the Casio Triangle, the right-handed downhill. Which was weird enough. But I've never seen a car crash because he was celebrating too early. That is a first here in the JACKOCAR Kia series. I mean, there's just something new happening every time we go to race.
I think Vitinho's probably just had the strangest 52 laps I think I've ever seen.
Yes. Yes. But Yuri takes the win, Waze in second, which, looking at the standings, at the preliminary standings right now, Waze is moving up into the top 10. And would, as things stand right now, with 2 races left to go right now, he would be qualified for the playoffs. He isn't fully qualified yet, but if things stay the way they are, he would be qualified.
Yeah, and that's going to be real. I think that might lift a bit of a weight off his shoulders, because just knowing that you're probably secure in those positions, it can definitely reduce the pressure, which will be a good thing as well going to Singapore. But I have to say, there's some really excellent drivers there tonight, and I'm interested to hear who you would say would be driver of the day.
I mean, for me, I would say it would definitely be Connor. I'm very much like, as much as Waze starting from P17 up to P2 also very strong, but I think Connor, and yes, he had the Joker race, but he also used it to perfection. We've seen plenty of times drivers using the Joker and their race just absolutely goes nowhere. I mean, we had it unfortunately with Jess tonight, who retired and ultimately DNF'd then, and she was on her Joker and it did not work out at all. But yeah, I think Connor did the most of his Joker, pitted at the right time. We were a bit confused then again, so did Yuri, but I think starting from P18, moving through the field on strategy with a couple of overtakes in there, I would give it to Connor, but I also understand if you were to pick Waze. Not saying you have to, just saying I would understand.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was thinking Waze straight off the back. I think a couple of things for me. Obviously, the fact that he started so low in the order. I think he started 17th to get up to second place in the end. I thought he did an absolutely stellar job. And I also thought as well, to say that he went on to hard tyres, now I admit I didn't think that was the right call. But his pace on the hard tyres was actually very, very solid. So for me, I would say Waze.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Let's quickly look. We have 2 more races left, and I gotta say, they couldn't be much more different from each other than they are. We're gonna be at Singapore next Tuesday, and then we will be at Austria to close off the regular season until we go on break for a week, and then come back on April 13th for the start of the playoffs at Canada. So 2 more races in the regular season, and we will have, with this win from Yuri, first driver to win 2 races, we will have at least 3 drivers that will qualify through the points in the season. And depending on what happens in the final 2 races, Singapore and Austria, It might be up to 5. So we'll see about that. But with that, just be aware that we also obviously have the JACKOCAR Cup Series over here on the channel. So make sure to subscribe if you've enjoyed this broadcast, and make sure to hit the like button. And the Cup Series will be live for you on Thursday. And we will be back, as mentioned, next Tuesday. That is March 23rd, as always, at 7 p.m. UK time. Thank you very much from Jake and myself, and goodbye.